You can't have a cat in here.
Shelter in place.
Help each other. We have to get out of the city.
Before the world learned to whisper, before silence became survival, before humanity cowered in the shadows of its own monuments, there was absolute, merciless chaos. This is not a story about heroes rising to save civilization. This is not a tale of military triumph or scientific breakthrough. This is a story about the precise moment terror descended from the heavens and rewrote every single rule of human existence.
Thank you for helping me live again. I'd forgotten how the city sings. You can hear it when you're quiet.
Meet Samira, Sam to those few who still care. A terminally ill cancer patient trapped in a hospice facility outside the city, her body systematically failing, her spirit already dancing with death, 1 foot in this world and 1 beyond. She exists in a gray, antiseptic world of sterile walls, fluorescent lighting, and hollow sympathy from nurses who have seen too many die. Sam writes poetry to make sense of her meaningless days, bitter verses about suffering, about being forgotten by a world that moves too fast, about waiting to die while surrounded by others doing the same slow fade. Her only genuine companion? Frodo, her service cat. Not just a pet, not just an animal, a lifeline, a reason to take one more breath, one more day, the only living thing that seems to understand her completely without words. The hospice exists in controlled chaos. Alarms constantly sound.
How's your pain? Great.
Emergency treatments happen daily. People scream in pain or fear. It's a place Sam despises with every fiber of her being, yet she's trapped there by circumstance and illness. Reuben, her compassionate nurse, convinces her to join a group outing to Manhattan for a marionette show. Entertainment for the dying, a chance to feel alive again, if only for an afternoon. Sam initially refuses. She makes dark jokes about being dead by tomorrow, but Reuben persists, and Sam finally agrees, but only on one brutal condition: pizza.
I'll go if we get pizza.
Didn't we have pizza yesterday?
Did you eat it?
No.
That wasn't pizza.
Not just any pizza, the specific pizza place in East Harlem where her father used to take her after his jazz performances. A sacred memory of when life still had flavor, warmth, and meaning. The group boards a bus. Sam stares out the window at the city skyline, those concrete towers piercing the heavens like tombstones reaching toward God, monuments to human ambition now casting long shadows across the streets below. Everything feels normal, routine, safe.
Marionette show. We are the Marionette Club.
You lied.
I don't know if I lied. You could have checked the schedule.
The traffic flows. People walk with purpose. Vendors shout. Horns honk. Life continues its relentless, noisy march forward. But something trembles in the atmosphere. A wrongness Sam cannot name. A pressure building like a scream trapped in the throat of the universe itself. Fighter jets streak overhead. Unusual for a Wednesday afternoon. The sky darkens unnaturally. Then it begins. The heavens explode. Meteor-like objects pierce the atmosphere, screaming downward with apocalyptic fury, trailing fire and smoke. But these are not meteors. These are not natural phenomena. These are vessels. Pods. Eggs containing nightmares humanity has never imagined in its darkest science fiction. The first sphere crashes into Times Square with the force of a tactical nuclear weapon. The impact shatters windows for entire city blocks. Car alarms shriek in unified chaos. People scream in confusion and terror. Emergency sirens wail from every direction. The ground itself trembles. And then they emerge. Creatures, death angels, as they would later be called by the few survivors who lived long enough to name them. beings that hunt and kill at speeds that defy comprehension, armored exoskeletons harder than steel, razor-sharp appendages that slice through human flesh like warm butter, no eyes, no visible sensory organs. They cannot see, so they compensate with something far more terrifying: hypersensitive hearing that detects the softest whisper from hundreds of feet away. The first massacre is swift, brutal, surgical, absolute. A woman screams for her child, dead in seconds. A man shouts for help, torn apart before the words finish leaving his mouth. A police officer fires his weapon. The gunshots attract 3 creatures simultaneously. His body is unrecognizable moments later. Bodies ripped apart with casual violence. Screams cut short mid-syllable. Blood painting the asphalt in grotesque Jackson Pollock patterns. The creatures move with surgical precision, attracted to every sob, every footstep, every gasp, every desperate prayer whispered to an unhearing God. Sam's bus stops abruptly. Through the windows, she witnesses pure hell unleashed. An asteroid lands near them. The shockwave flips cars like toys. She barely escapes the bus before a creature appears through the smoke, snatching people who scream, dragging them into shadows where their cries fade into wet silence. A soldier tries to help Sam, shouting for her to run. The creature takes him instead, his heroic gesture buying her 3 precious seconds.
Take cover! Now! They're fucking everywhere!
An ambulance explodes nearby. The blast throws Sam against concrete, unconscious. And that's when humanity understood. Sound was no longer safe. Sound was death itself. Within minutes, thousands are slaughtered in Manhattan alone. The city that never sleeps is now the city that cannot scream, cannot weep, cannot exist as it once did. Sam wakes inside the puppet theater, surrounded by survivors frozen in absolute suffocating terror. Henri, a stranger who becomes her temporary guardian, signals her to remain completely quiet. His hand covers her mouth. His eyes plead for understanding. Every breath must be measured, every movement calculated with chess master precision. One cough, one whisper, one moment of human weakness, and you're torn apart. Military helicopters pass overhead, their loudspeakers warning people to stay silent and shelter in place until rescue operations can be coordinated. But the helicopter noise itself becomes a beacon of death. The creatures swarm upward like demonic insects, climbing buildings, leaping toward the mechanical thunder with horrifying agility. They attack the helicopters themselves, causing one to crash into a building, the explosion drawing even more creatures to the area. Frodo, terrified by the noise, tries to flee. Sam grabs him desperately, hiding as a creature passes within feet of her location. The monster senses Reuben's breathing nearby. It approaches, investigates. But Reuben has mastered his fear, his breath so shallow the creature cannot pinpoint him. It leaves, searching for clearer prey. Sam watches in frozen horror as a man near her begins to panic. His breathing accelerates, his eyes go wild with terror. Henri tries to calm him, covering his mouth, but the man's fear is consuming him from within. In the struggle, Henri accidentally suffocates the man. Silence returns. Everyone understands. No one judges. It was necessary. Survival requires impossible choices. Choices that would haunt you if you lived long enough to remember them. That night, Sam witnesses something that shatters her already fragile spirit. Reuben, the man who brought her here, who showed her kindness in a world that had forgotten her. He tries to shut off a noisy emergency generator. His shirt catches and rips on metal, just a small sound, a tiny tear of fabric. A creature hears, grabs him, takes him away screaming. She hears his muffled cries fade into the darkness, knowing he dies terrified and alone. Don't speak, don't cough, don't breathe too loudly, don't exist. These are the new commandments, the only laws that matter now. The 10 Commandments have been replaced by one. Stay silent or die. Military announcements echo through the devastated streets via remaining emergency systems. The creatures cannot swim. They avoid water. Evacuations are being coordinated from the southern docks where boats will transport survivors to safety. There is hope, fragile as spider silk, desperate as a drowning man's gasp, but real, tangible, possible. The government plans to destroy the bridges, trapping the creatures on Manhattan Island, containing the infestation before it spreads further across America. Sam, however, chooses a different path entirely. She leaves the theater with Frodo, heading not south to safety and survival, but north to Harlem, to the pizza place, to her father's memory, to the last place she remembers being truly happy. Along the way, she encounters Eric, a young English law student who escaped a flooded subway station where he watched others drown.
What's your name? Talk under the rain.
Or get torn apart by creatures that followed them into the water before drowning themselves. Eric is traumatized, alone, and terrified beyond reason or rational thought. He follows Frodo and finds Sam. She tells him to leave, to go south, to save himself while he still can. But Eric, paralyzed by fear and the horror he's witnessed, cannot move, cannot function, cannot face the silence alone. He follows Sam back to her apartment instead, seeking shelter in her presence, in another human heartbeat. In the apartment, hidden beneath the thunder's protective roar of a sudden storm, they can finally speak. Rain becomes their shield.
And Mrs. Freelander taught me subtraction. And the corner store taught me.
Thunder their permission to be human again, to use their voices, to exist audibly. Sam shares her poetry. Eric shares his terror, his guilt at surviving when others didn't. She tells him about her father, a jazz pianist who filled rooms with music, who taught her that life without passion is just existence. Together, using the thunder to mask their voices, they scream. They release their rage, their fear, their frustration at the universe for this cosmic injustice. It's cathartic, necessary, human. They learn the most important lesson. You survive only if you embrace silence completely. But Sam knows something Eric doesn't yet understand. She's already dying. The cancer is consuming her from within, eating her alive cell by cell. These creatures didn't steal her future. They just accelerated the inevitable, which means she has nothing left to lose and everything to reclaim. The final journey begins. Sam and Eric navigate through flooded subways where death angels hang dormant from ceilings, waiting for the slightest vibration. They must submerge completely to pass beneath the creatures. One wakes, pursues them. They swim deeper until it drowns behind them. They reach a church. Sam's body is failing. She needs medication. Eric ventures out, finding a pharmacy while avoiding creatures hunting above. Frodo follows, leading him to massive egg-like pods near the destroyed bridge. The creatures are feeding on them, protecting them. This is colonization. Eric barely escapes as a creature investigates, its grotesque head inches from his face. Back at the church, Eric administers Sam's medicine. She tells him about her father, the jazz club, the pizza place, why this matters more than survival. It's about reclaiming one final moment of joy before death takes her.
He died. Like I am now.
About choosing her ending. Eric makes a promise. They will get there together. But when they arrive, the pizzeria is destroyed, burned to ashes. Sam collapses, her final wish shattered. Eric refuses to let her story end this way. He finds another pizza place, brings food to the jazz club, and writes the original pizzeria's name on the box. They share pizza. Eric performs a card trick. Sam smiles genuinely for the first time in years. The evacuation begins. Final boats departing from southern docks. Sam has made her choice. She gives Eric her jacket, her cat, her final poem. Take care of Frodo. Thank you for being here. Then she creates the diversion, smashing car windows, setting off alarms. Creatures swarm toward the chaos. Eric runs for the water, barely making it as claws swipe at his back. Henry's boat rescues him. He's safe. But Sam returns to the burnt pizzeria. She pulls out a photograph of her father holding her as a child, places her earbuds in, plays her father's jazz recording, then removes the earbuds. The music plays loudly into the silent city. A saxophone solo echoing through empty streets. A creature approaches. Sam doesn't run, doesn't hide. She closes her eyes, accepting her fate with dignity. She chose how her story ended, on her terms, with her father's music playing. The creature strikes. This is how it began, not with governments falling, not with armies defeated on battlefields, but with a woman who refused to die afraid, who chose meaning over survival, who reminded us that being human means more than just breathing. Day 1 transformed New York City into a graveyard. Manhattan was isolated, bridges destroyed to contain the invasion. The death angels spread across the globe. Millions died in the first week. Civilization collapsed within months. And in the aftermath, humanity learned a new language, the language of silence. But Sam's story reminds us, even in the face of extinction, we choose how we meet the end. With courage, with defiance, with one final slice of pizza and a father's jazz melody. The age of silence had begun, but the human spirit, that could never be silent.